Okay. So I don't know. This Bexley one needs to come a little bit closer.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Lovely to see so many people here.
Someone could just help me.
We estimated as we were walking at least 300.
Yeah, can you just help me, please?
Anybody got a better estimate? Starting at 300?
350!
I heard 1,000 there. Easily 1,000. Welcome to Charlton Park. We are here within sight of QEH behind us. It's a shame we couldn't go past there, but still, QEH is one of the services that we're all here to defend. I'm John Galloway, and I coordinate a campaign called We Love the NHS. And we started here. Actually, we started up in Charlton House just at the other end. And we started less than a year ago now, because we got a sense that something drastic was going to happen.
Push it a little bit, yeah.
And we started a campaign that was called We Love the NHS, because there was so much negative feelings and thoughts going around, particularly coming from the government, as part of their plan to prepare us for the privatisation, the selling off of the NHS. They were beginning to, what's the term, diss the NHS. Disrespect it, make us begin to think that if we don't, it's something that we don't want to hang on to, that's something that we won't value, something that we won't miss. But in fact, it is the case that we do love the NHS. I look around and I see a large number of people wearing the I Love the NHS badge. It's a bit odd to love a large institution, so I think it's the second biggest employer in the world. It's an enormous conglomeration, and yet people feel very affectionate about the NHS. I think it could be that the NHS shares our values. It represents the best of British. It's about social justice and fairness and equality. It's about no matter who you are, you get a good service. It isn't dependent on your status or your income. The NHS is there for you. And it's those sort of values, those community cooperation sharing values that we all share too. I think it's also, we feel emotional about it because we're quite often emotional when we come across the NHS. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but when you go and meet the NHS, you're always feeling a little bit anxious. Or maybe, at times, you're feeling joyful with the birth of a child, or perhaps you're feeling saddened, bereaved. But you're always feeling something with the NHS. And it's also about the people in the NHS, because the people make the NHS, the staff. And they are affectionate. They're not just about providing a service. They're not just caring for people, they're caring about people. And one of the dangers that we face at the moment of the increased privatisation of the NHS is we begin to lose that personal touch, because the priority will no longer be the people who come to the NHS, it will be the shareholders, it will be the profit margin, because that's the responsibility of corporations. Their first responsibility is to make a profit, not provide the service. So one of the things that's happening, that privatisation is rather steadily happening. It's attritional. You may have noticed already that some of our local ambulances still look like NHS ambulances, but there's the Savoy badge on there somewhere. Yeah, privatisation is creeping its way in. The profit margin is becoming more important. The fragmentation of the NHS is happening before our eyes, and the fragmentation is one of the things that's brought us here today. The PFI is a big problem, but it's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is patient flow. That people are not coming into the South London Healthcare Trust, they're going out to Darrant and Kings and Lewisham and so on. And because of the way the NHS is structured, that's a problem. Across the NHS in London, it's £500 million in the black. It's this little bit that's in the red. It would make sense to simply shift the money across. If services were what mattered most, if services mattered to people most, then the money would be wired across. We wouldn't be talking about breaking up, about any appropriate provider stepping in to take over chunks of our services, to move them to somewhere else, to close a hospital, perhaps shift what a hospital does. So it's not necessarily working for those who are NHS patients, but working for private patients. We could see the Virgin Queen Mary, where we have half the operations, 49%, under the legislation now, 49% of the operations could happen as private operations, and 51% as NHS operations. That's why they might be interested in it. But words like profit and shareholders, commercialisation shouldn't come into the NHS. We shouldn't be thinking about what the bankers, the shareholders, the bureaucrats, the managers want. And we're going to see one of the things that the NHS may become is just a group of managers. At the moment, managers manage clinicians and staff, but they'll be managing contracts. They'll be looking at what was on the contract, they'll be looking at the list of services agreed to provide and ticking them off. When you have a problem with the NHS, and much as we love it, we have to recognise that sometimes we have problems with the NHS, but we can still love it and want it to do better. When we have a problem with the NHS, it's going to be hard to find out who's responsible. Who do we go to? Do we go to that manager? Do we go to the provider? Do we go to the manager who then checks the contract to see if it's something we can complain about? If it's not on the contract, then it's not a problem. Those words, those terms don't belong in the NHS. The NHS is about services to people. It's about people serving people and about people caring for people. And it's why all of us are still able to say that we love the NHS. And I hope that we're still going to be able to say that in a few months' time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. That's John Galloway. We're going to have a few more speakers in a minute, but just before we do, I'm Lynn from the Greenwich and Bexley Trades Council, and it's great to see so many people here, and in fact, we would have had more, but I've had messages saying, where are you? We're at Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and where are you? We're in Greenwich. So I'm sorry about that, I don't know why that happened, but nonetheless, we're here. The Trades Council's been working closely with Keep Our National Health Service Public, We Love Our NHS, and other groups. And what we did recently was we helped to form, with everybody else, SOLH, which stands for Save Our Local Hospitals. And we've been working together to fight back against, obviously it's been said so many times about what they want to do to the National Health Service, and this is just locally kicking it off. We've got many meetings coming up, and the first one is, it's one of them. Save Our Local Hospitals is on the 9th of October. Needn't remember that, because we'll be giving flyers out about it. But just to let you know, things are happening. We'll be having a meeting on the 26th of September in Bexley Heath. Again, flyers are going around to build for the NHS, and particularly for the 20th of October TUC March, which is going to be marching against this condemned government. Again, that's already been said about how anti-working class they are. And anyway, next we're going to have some music, hopefully, to sing along to, whatever. But next up we've got Rich McEwen, who is a UCU person. Trade unions, and just on trade unions, we've got people here from not only UCU, NUT, GMB, Unite, Unison, and as Candy Edwin said right at the beginning, we need unity. Whatever your political party, whatever your trade union, and the PCS, sorry, so many I'm forgetting. We need unity, and I'm not going to say anymore. Here's Rich, thank you.